In every ancient village, there's a story passed down from generation to generation, a story that stirs a mixture of curiosity and fear. In our village, the story was called Devil's Mountain. The mountain was towering, its peak seemingly piercing the sky. It was covered with sharp black rocks, as if nature itself had designed it to be a place of exile and oblivion. No one dared approach it after sunset, and climbing to the top was considered madness, or even suicide. The story goes that everyone who tried to climb it never returned. Some whisper that demons inhabit its peak, while others recount that a village once stood there vanished in a single night, invaded by non-human creatures. But for four reckless teenagers, this was just a tempting rumor. Ahmed, Ali, Mohammed, and Samir, young men in the prime of their lives, fearless, always seeking excitement and adventure. Their favorite pastimes: mountain climbing, cave diving, and exploring places everyone avoids. One night while they were sitting by the river exchanging scary stories, Ali mentioned the mountain and added, "I heard that the last person who tried to climb it didn't even find his body. It was as if he had evaporated." Ahmed laughed sarcastically.
Do you believe these superstitions? It's just a mountain, and we've climbed it harder than it. But Samir interrupted him cautiously. It's different this time. People here don't exaggerate when it comes to the Devil's Mountain. Muhammad smiled slyly and said, "Why not be the first to reach the summit and back? We'll prove to everyone that this is just a myth." The four agreed to carry out the plan. The next morning, they took their bags filled with water, food, and flashlights and set off. The path to the mountain was filled with twisted trees, as if trying to prevent them from crossing. With every step, the village grew further away, and the sound of the wind grew louder. When they reached the bottom of the mountain, they froze. The mountain looked even scarier than they'd imagined. The black rocks glittered in the sun, and clouds swirled around its summit like an evil whirlpool. The air was heavy, as if you were breathing dust and ash. Samir swallowed. "I don't like this feeling. It's stifling here." But Ahmed responded firmly. "We came to climb, so let's start before your enthusiasm cools off." They began their ascent. At first, it felt normal. But the higher they climbed, the atmosphere changed strangely. The sun seemed to be drifting away, and the light gradually faded until it felt as if it were sunset, even though it was only noon. Fear began to creep in on Ali, Muhammad, and Samir. Silence surrounded them, except for the sound of their footsteps and ragged breathing. Halfway up, the three stopped abruptly. Muhammad said, "Enough. This place isn't normal. We'll continue later." Ali supported him. "I'll never forget that feeling, as if someone was watching us from afar." But Ahmed, who was the bravest of them, or perhaps the most stubborn, looked at them with contempt. "You go back. I'll finish. I don't want to waste this opportunity." Unable to find a response, they turned and walked back, leaving Ahmed alone facing the mountain. The higher he climbed, the darker it got, and the air grew noticeably colder. Finally, he reached the summit, and there came the surprise. Before his eyes, a deserted village appeared. Cracked wooden and stone houses, their windows shattered, and their doors swayed in the wind, making an annoying creak. The place seemed frozen in time, decades ago. Among the houses was a small house that looked older than the others. Its door was half open. Ahmed pushed it open carefully, and a long wooden squeak sound emanated, and a musty smell filled the air. Inside, he found an old woman sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall, pale-faced, almost out of breath. He approached her and asked, "What happened here? Where is everyone?" The old woman lifted her head with difficulty and said in a hoarse voice, They came, the devils. Every night at sunset they attacked the village, kidnapping people, killing them. No one survived, except us old people. They left us because they knew we would soon perish." Ahmed trembled as he looked out the window. The sun was already setting, and the horizon was turning bloodshot. The old woman looked at him with terrifying seriousness. "If they see you here, they'll tear you apart. Run, now!" Ahmed hesitated, but eventually he burst out of the house and began running toward the edge of the mountain. It wasn't long before he heard heavy footsteps behind him. He turned and saw something he'd never seen in his life. Tall creatures with human bodies and goat heads, their eyes glowing yellow and their teeth sharp as knives. She was running towards him at a frantic speed. His heart nearly jumped out of his chest, and he increased his speed, running without knowing where he was going. After a long distance, he stopped to catch his breath and confirmed that the creatures had stopped chasing him. He breathed a sigh of relief, but realized he'd lost his way. Darkness had swallowed the place completely, and the sound of the wind was like whispers. As he searched for his way, he saw the light of a fire in the distance. He approached cautiously, finding a group of dwarves sitting around a fire, drinking tea and laughing. They welcomed him and invited him to sit. But Ahmed refused, telling them he had to continue on his way. Just then, one of them stood in front of him, the smile disappearing from his features. In an instant, their expressions transformed. Their bodies shrank and then expanded again, revealing the same goat-headed creatures. They surrounded him on all sides, and he froze. Then he suddenly remembered a quick plan, smiled, and said, "You know what? You're not as scary as you think. Even the old woman in the village told me she beat you all one by one, and you didn't dare touch her." They stopped moving and looked at him angrily. One of them said in a hoarse voice, "That lying witch! We'll show her who we are, and we'll get back to you later." They sped toward the village, leaving Ahmed alone. He smiled with relief and whispered to himself, "What fools! I'm sorry, Auntie." He ran as fast as he could, not stopping until he saw the edge of the mountain. He climbed down without turning around, and his heart only calmed down when he saw the lights of his village on the horizon. As for the old woman, that night was her last.